Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to talk about a new update from the Department of State about waiving certain visa interviews for certain applicants. I'm going to tell you in this video who qualifies for those visa interview waivers, and also we're going to cover more embassies that are reopening. So lots of good stuff to cover. So what are you waiting for? I'll see you on the other side. Hello everybody, and welcome back to our immigration channel. This is a place where you get the most up-to-date immigration news, immigration updates, and everything else that you need to make your immigration journey less stressful. My name is Jacob Sapochnick, and I'm an immigration attorney located in San Diego, California. And in this video, I want to talk about an exciting update from the Department of State about interview waivers all the way through 2021. We're now in late September. This is going to continue through the end of the year. Interview waivers for certain F1 students, M1 students, J1 scholars. These are applicants that are going to be getting their visas without an interview. I'm going to explain in a second who qualifies and how they qualify. Now, the reason it's important is because the fact that they are initiating now interview waivers for applicants like that tells us that they may expand it to other categories because of the huge backlog, because of more than 550,000 applicants are in limbo right now waiting for visa interviews. They have to find a solution. So it seems to me that they're testing those interview waivers on small visa categories before they expand them to other categories that require massive processing like immigrant visas. So we'll talk about that, and also we will also cover a few embassies, and we'll talk about which embassies are taking appointments right now, which documentary qualified applicants are eligible for an interview. So make sure you watch this video until the end, because I'm going to talk about that in the second part of this video. So let's jump right in. So the announcement that came from the State Department just a few days ago, and I link that announcement, the link in the description of this video, specifically stated that they are now expanding the visa waiver opportunities for applicants in F visa categories, M visa categories, and J visa categories to include students, professors, research scholars, short-term scholars, and specialists. Consular officers can now, with this update, if they choose to, waive interviews for applicants that are coming in these categories, F, M, and J, without an interview, issuing those visas. But who qualifies under these exemptions? So the first category is that any applicant who had previously issued any type of visa. So our understanding of reading this announcement is that if you previously had, let's say, a tourist visa, or maybe you had a student visa, but now you're applying for a J visa, which is different. If you had any type of visa in good standing, you never violated that visa, you will qualify for an interview waiver. The second thing is that in addition to having previously a visa issued, you also cannot be in violation of a visa. You cannot be somebody who was refused the visa, and if you were refused the visa, you were able to waive that with a waiver. So those 2 points are super important to understand. You must have a visa previously issued to you before, and you never in any visa violation, and if you were refused, you were able to overcome that through a waiver. If you meet those requirements, the consular officer could consider waiving your visa interview, and you'll be able to get that visa without physically attending the U.S. Embassy. It also states that if you're a first-time applicant for F visa, M visa, or J visa, you're a member of a country that is part of the visa waiver program, and you have a visa waiver, meaning that you don't have any issues, you're never denied ESTA, you could also qualify for visa interview waiver. This is great news because that's going to help these embassies to reduce the backlog, and they can focus on issuing more visas to people that actually need interviews, allowing consular officer to focus on more immigrant visas, to start opening more slots so that MVC will be able to send more cases to these embassies. This is one way how they're going to be tackling this backlog. So we really welcome this move from the State Department to start waiving interviews, and we feel that this is like a small attempt for them to test it, to see how that works, to see how people react, how many of these visas they can process, and eventually, hopefully, they're going to be able to expand visa interview waivers, possibly even for immigrant visa applicants, because I'm telling you, this backlog of almost 550,000 people standing in line waiting for interviews is not just going to disappear one day. Now, the good news is that we heard that a few embassies also started doing Zoom interviews for minor children. The U.S. Consulate in Jerusalem is conducting Zoom interviews for minor children on a case-by-case basis, which tells you that maybe that those Zoom interviews can expand to other categories. But the fact is that they're doing it. They are waiving interviews, and they are in a very limited capacity conducting some Zoom interviews in certain categories. So these are great news, and hopefully we'll see more of that. Now let's move to talk about some embassies, which embassies are conducting interviews, and we'll move on down the list. Last time I ran through an update of about 7 embassies. The link to the previous embassy rundown is in the description of this video. And today we're going to talk about more embassies, so let's jump right in. The first embassy we're talking about is Côte d'Ivoire, Abidjan. This embassy resumed routine visa services for all immigrant visas. Non-immigrant visas remain a limited capacity. The good news is they're right now processing IR1, CR1 visas for people that are documentary qualified from October of 2020, which is good news. This embassy is working almost on full capacity and is a really good example for other embassies to see how efficient processing should happen. So that's good news. Next embassy is the U.S. Embassy in Nicosia, Cyprus. This embassy again also resumed normal processing as far as we know. And again, this information that we get is based on research, but also from our members that are reporting to us from our Facebook. And if you are curious about it, you have a link in the description of this video. We can join the group and you can see people that are posting their experience with embassy interviews, and also they're sharing their documentary qualified dates. This is something that we do for your benefit. We do the research, we put together the numbers, and we provide that information to you every single time through a video. So again, also remember that that information changes on a week-by-week basis. So if country conditions change, that information can also change. But we try our best to give you the most accurate information. So with Cyprus, this embassy is resuming routine visa services. They are now processing IR1, CR1 cases, documentary qualified from July of 2020, from what we know. F4 categories are going back to November 2019. F2A are being processed for people that are documentary qualified from March of 2020. So this is good news again, to see that this embassy is trying our best to process these applications. And remember, as I mentioned in previous videos, this embassy and Abidjan, they are also processing other applications. They are working on the 4-tier system, and they're trying to get applications from each tier as possible, depending on their staffing and the country condition. They're trying to process them on all tiers at the same time, which means that they also process employment-based cases at the moment as well. Next, we're moving to the Dominican Republic, the U.S. Embassy in Punta Cana. This embassy is working on a limited capacity, limited immigrant visa services, very limited non-immigrant visa services. There is priority for students. Currently, cases that are coming from this embassy, K1 visas, are being slightly delayed, but they are processing them. It is really important to work with this embassy. If your K visa is being delayed, they will work on processing expedited cases through the MVC. This is one of those embassies where we've seen success. With respect to IR1, CR1 cases, the reports we have is that they're working on August of 2020. People that are documentary qualified August 2020 should be getting interviews at the Dominican Republic at the moment. Next, we're moving to the U.S. Embassy in Paris, France. This embassy is working on a limited capacity as far as we know. They are processing immigrant visas. They're doing their best. This embassy is working to increase capacity of staffing from what we hear, and even expanding facilities at this embassy to accommodate more space for interviews in addition to the main area where they usually do it. Hopefully by the time we reach November, late November, we're going to see even more speedy processing from the U.S. Embassy in Paris. Right now they're working on IR1, CR1 cases that are documentary qualified from September 2020, also October 2020 as well. F2As are going back to March 2020. F4 categories are still stuck at November, December 2019. And K1 visas are being stalled for some reason at this embassy. We're trying to work with it. We have a lot of communication with the U.S. Embassy in Paris. They've been very courteous and helpful, but they're very, very slow still with K1 visas. So if you're in Paris, it is what it is. Next, we're moving to Greece, Athens. The U.S. Embassy in Greece, Athens, is working on a regular capacity at the moment. That's from what we understand. They are working on processing K1 visas in a pretty good capacity. IR1, CR1s are stuck at October 2020. F2As are going back to February 2020. And we don't have too much information about F4s. But from the few reports that we did get, they are stuck at December of 2019. Again, this embassy is easy to work with. They are processing expedited based on medical, and the recent update from the State Department that if you're an essential worker in the medical space, you should be able to get expedited in all these embassies that I mentioned in a moment. If you're essential and your work is essential to work on a battle with COVID-19, you should be able to get priority. Right now, these are the best expedited cases to process at the moment. The embassy in Honduras is now working on full capacity right now, very limited visa processing as far as we know, very slow processing K-1 visas, almost very difficult to get anything from that embassy in Honduras. What we know is IR1, CR1 cases are stuck at May of 2020. We've seen June 2020, but most of them are May 2020. And if you have a case in Honduras, you should still try to do expedite, because this embassy will process emergency appointments once you get your expedite case approved through the National Visa Center. Move on to Ireland, Dublin. Ireland, Dublin is finally working on full capacity as far as we know. This embassy is working, is processing immigrant visas, non-immigrant visas. They do give priority to students, J1s and M1 visas. These applicants do not need an interview, and they are getting they are automatically qualified for national interest exceptions. IR1, CR1s are currently being processed October 2020 for Ireland. And finally, the last embassy for today, this video is going to be Israel. The U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem is now working on full capacity. They are processing IR1, CR1 cases, and they are now doing cases that are November 2020, and also F2A cases that are moving to May 2020. F4 category siblings are advancing to December 2019. It's a very easy embassy to work with, and we hopefully that they are going to be continuing to process more applications in the next several months. So once again, we'll continue to make those embassy roundouts. Let us know which embassy you want to see next. We have a long list. We're doing the research. If you want to join the Facebook group and get more updates, the link is below. As always, we also have a private membership where you get even more information as to what's happening in embassies and consulates, what happened to us personally in our cases, information that we don't share in public, but we do share in our private group at Immigration News. So once again, if you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. Click the notification bell and give us a big like so YouTube will be able to share this video with more people just like you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.